the role of the BBC and the Western media in general in protecting bloodthirsty terrorist Benjamin Netanyahu and his war crimes in Gaza has been pretty obvious. The BBC, in particular, has emerged as the undisputed leader in acting as the face of the Israeli barbarism in Gaza. We all pointed out the corporation's complicity all through the last 22 months, but our protest fell on deaf ears of the BBC's pro Israeli bosses. That's because they know the power of the Israeli Zionist lobby in the UK. They know that no power in the world can take their jobs away as long as the Israeli lobby continues to protect them. Hence, the brazen display of moral bankruptcy and support for a depravity never seen before. Having said that, there have been a few BBC staff members who have continued to objectively report on the biggest Holocaust since World War II. Jeremy Bowen is one of them. No wonder Israeli terrorists hate him. Thank God Jeremy is not a brown person or Muslim or Arab. Else, he would have been sacked by the corrupt BBC leadership a long time ago. Make no mistake about it. You have to watch his latest video report that he filed from inside a British plane that was deployed to airdrop aid materials into Gaza. This should give you a chill down your spine. In this short report, Jeremy exposes the Israeli war crimes, crimes that the entire Western world have been actively participating in for the last 22 months. Jeremy explains how the airdropping of essential items is a symbolic exercise and a drop in the ocean. He also reveals the control of the media by the Israelis, even during the filming of a short video, and the effect of the Israeli war crimes as he notices the entire neighborhood in North Gaza wiped out. Watch this clip to understand what I'm talking about.
These are the parachutes which will guide the aid down to Gaza. There are 8 tons on here, baby milk, some food, medical supplies, and there's this aircraft and one other from the UAE. Now, clearly, on its own, this is not going to make a great deal of difference. The only thing that really will make a big difference would be a lot of road convoys. You can't do it with airdrops. But airdrops are symbolic, they're telegenic, they look good on television, and they give the impression that something's being done. And without question, the fact this is being permitted by the Israelis means that they have responded to pressure. So the Jordanians have passed on a message from the Israelis. The Israelis don't want us to film out of the window at the devastation inside Gaza. But I've spent 10 minutes looking at it with my own eyes. And I can tell you that communities in the north of Gaza that I knew well, very vibrant, tens of thousands of people living hard lives, but actually with a remarkable human spirit, are flat. There's nothing left of them. Now, if you've been watching satellite pictures, it won't come as any surprise. But seeing it is really something. Israel will not allow reporters like myself to enter Gaza to report the story. And they don't want us to see it, to film it anyway, from above either.
But I have no doubt that some of Jeremy's colleagues in the BBC would still not hesitate from uttering the usual nonsense that Israel would deny this and how Israel was only targeting Hamas. Now, can you imagine just how horrible these individuals are who have been working as BBC presenters and living off our tax money called the license fee? If not for their mental derangement, these monsters should face consequences for the sake of the British tax-paying public. How dare they live off our tax money to peddle the genocidal propaganda of a foreign settler colony? Just because they happen to practice the same genocidal ideology that Israeli barbarians followed? As I speak, at least 14 more Palestinians have died of starvation in Gaza. This is over and above 125 people who already lost their lives due to starvation in the last few days. But how did the BBC report this development? Its headline said that 14 people died of malnutrition. Yes, malnutrition. These mentally sick and evil people working in the BBC would still not be moved by the man made starvation of Gaza. Now, can you imagine just the kind of evil people running the BBC these days? The BBC has turned into a rogue organization because the country's leadership has mortgaged its self respect to foreign powers. This was evident when Keir Starmer met Donald Trump in Scotland today. Trump was pathetic with his lies on Gaza, but no one was surprised. But Starmer would turn himself into such a shameless clown, despite having won a landslide majority only a year ago, came as a surprise. He kept laughing like a fool when Trump insulted Starmer's Labour colleague and London Mayor Sadiq Khan.
Will you visit London during the state visit?
I will. I'm not a fan of your mayor.
Why not?
I think he's done a terrible job, the mayor of London. But a nasty person. I think he's done. I think no. I think
he's a friend of mine, right?
No, I think he's done a terrible job. But I would certainly visit London. Yeah.
There was no doubt that Trump was simply being a racist here. But all Starmer did was he laughed and said that Khan was his friend. Trump praised far-right politician Nigel Farage, but Starmer was busy being the US president's poodle, as he kept thanking his guest. If I'm not wrong, Starmer must have thanked Trump at least a dozen times.
Well, let me welcome you, Mr. President, to Scotland, and fantastic to be here at Turnberry with you. Thank you so much for showing us around and having this opportunity to sit in this fantastic ballroom, which is absolutely incredible, and to start talking about some of the issues that are most pressing in your country and my country, and in particular, we've had the opportunity to talk about the situation in Gaza and the intolerable situation, including images of starvation. And I think both of us know that we have to get to that ceasefire, and we have to increase humanitarian aid in. And thank you for what you've already been doing, are doing, and are committed to, because without you, this would not be capable of resolution. And I think that if we can work not just on the pressing issues of the ceasefire, but also on this issue of getting humanitarian aid in at volume, at speed, and then we've discussed a plan for what then happens afterwards. I think we can do our very best to alleviate what is an awful situation at the moment. So thank you very much for the discussion we've had so far and the discussion we're about to continue on that really important issue. But it's fantastic to be here. Thank you for your hospitality and to see this amazing golf course. I'll invite you to a football ground at some stage, and we can exchange sports.
Clearly, Starmer has sold off his self-respect to stay in power. You can watch the longer video of the press conference on this channel, Janta Ka Reporter. Meanwhile, the UN has warned that as many as 40,000 children could die of starvation within days in Gaza. And these corrupt genocidal maniacs from the West are still playing with words. They will be forever condemned as the enemies of humanity in history books. That's it from me. Thank you very much for your support of this platform and our journalism on buymeacoffee.com and Patreon. If you too think that our journalism is worth supporting, then you too should consider becoming part of it. Details are there in the description of this video. In the meantime, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.